Then you saw how long his hair was, almost covering his ears, and how clean-shaved-looking his face was. Right then you suspected he was more to those Apaches than a friend or a boss. I mean, he could be a blood relation, no matter what his name was, and nobody in the world would bet he wasn't. When Mr. Mendez spoke to him, you believed it all the more. He stepped closer to John Russell's roan horse, and I remember the first thing he said. He said, "Hombre." Russell didn't say anything. He just looked at Mr. Mendez, though you couldn't see his eyes in the shadow of his hat brim. "Which name today?" Mr. Mendez said. "Which do you want?" Russell answered Mr. Mendez in Spanish then, just a few words, and Mr. Mendez said in English, "We use John Russell. No symbol names, no Apache names, all right?" When Russell just nodded, Mr. Mendez said, "I was wondering what you decided. You said you would come to Sweet Mary in 2 days." Russell used Spanish again, more this time, evidently explaining something. "Maybe it would look different to you if you thought about it in English," Mr. Mendez said, and watched him closely. "Or if you spoke about it now in English." "It's the same," Russell said, all of a sudden in English. In good English, that had only a speck of accent, just a faint edge, that you would wonder, every time you heard him, if it really was some kind of accent. "But it's a big something to think about," Mr. Mendez said. "Going to contention. Going there to live among white men. To live as a white man on land a white man has given you. To have to speak English to people no matter what language you think in." "There it is," Russell said. "I'm still thinking all the different ways." "Sure," Mr. Mendez said. "You could sell the land, buy a horse and a new gun with some of the money. Give the rest to the hungry ones at the San Carlos Indian Agency. Then you got nothing." Russell shrugged. "Maybe so." "Or you sell only the herd and grow corn on the land and make tiswin, enough to keep you drunk for 7 years." "Even that," Russell said. "Or you can work the herd and watch it grow," Mr. Mendez said. "You can marry and raise a family. You can live there the rest of your life." He waited a little. "You want some more ways to picture it?" "I have too many ways now," Russell said, but he didn't sound worried about it. It didn't satisfy Mr. Mendez. He was trying to convince him of something and kept at it. He said then, "I hear it's a good house." Russell nodded. "If living there is worth it to you." "Man," Mendez said, like something good was staring at Russell, and he didn't know enough to take it. "What do you want?" Russell looked down at him. In that unhurried, easy way, he said, "Maybe a mezcal, if there's some inside, eh?" Delgado laughed and said something in Spanish. Mr. Mendez shrugged, and both of them turned to the adobe. I was watching Russell, though. He dismounted, still holding his carbine, which I now saw was an old .56 Spencer, and came right toward me, looking at the ground, then looking up quick as he must have sensed me. For a second we were close, and I saw his eyes. They had that same tell-nothing but know-everything expression as Henry Mendez's eyes. That same Mexican-Indian look. Only John Russell's eyes were blue. Light blue-looking in his Indian dark face. Maybe that doesn't sound like anything, but I'll tell you, it gave me the strangest feeling. The 2 Apaches carried Springfields, as I had guessed. They held them cradled across one arm, and even with the bullet belts and all, they looked kind of funny. Mainly because of their vests and straw hats that were very narrow and turned up all around. They went inside too, and I followed. Only I didn't stay long. Mr. Mendez sent me out to the equipment shed to start the inventory, then over to see about the feed stores. So it was maybe a half hour before I got back to the main adobe. 5 saddle horses, along with the mud wagon, were standing in front now, instead of 3. Inside, I saw Mr. Mendez and John Russell at one end of the long table the stage passengers sat at. Russell's carbine lay on the table.